All right, guys, welcome back. It's been so long since I've seen you. Uh, I really appreciate if you have already watched my NFL draft from yesterday. I really appreciate you doing that. If you have not seen that, please go check that out. I put a lot of work into that. And today we're gonna do just another sport. I already said yesterday we're getting to the golden age of sports here. We got the NFL draft coming up, NBA playoffs, and then the NHL playoffs. Masters just ended, So let's just jump into basketball. Not a lot. This is actually probably my first basketball NBA video. Of course, I did March Madness this year, and like we just got to get into this. The Cavs are, of course, in the playoffs this year. If anyone has not noticed, I am a Cavs fan. I'm a Cleveland guy. That those are going to be my teams, no matter how bad they are. Anything like that. So with that, we're just gonna. I was gonna do a video of just talking about the Cavs series, but I was like, you know what? I've already done prediction videos. I did a mock draft. I did March Madness. I honestly should have done NFL playoffs, but I didn't. But I was just like, I could spend like 30 minutes talking about basketball, a sport I've never played before, um, but a sport that I really like watching. I could sound like an idiot and talk for 30 minutes about a playoff series, but I just thought, why don't I spend 45 minutes looking like an idiot talking about the entire playoffs? So let's just jump right into here. We have the Golden State Warriors or the Phoenix Suns tonight. Those the last two playoff games. It's going to be Golden State and Phoenix, and then who's playing? Oh, it's there it is because they're both the same shade. It's going to be Orlando and Charlotte. By the way, the Miami Heat Charlotte Hornets game, one of the best games I've seen in a while. That was a really awesome game. If you have not watched that, woof, that was awesome. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna go one by one here. I'll go through the first round, the second round, the third round, of course, like all that kind of stuff. I'm not just gonna go bracket. I'm not just gonna like here's where the Thunder end up, and here's where the Lakers, the Rockets end up. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go one by one, game by game. I know they do have you pick how many games they go to. That'll be interesting for me. But I think whoever wins this game between the Suns and the Warriors, I don't think there's any chance for any of those guys to beat the Thunder. I'm gonna give, if it is the Warriors, I think Steph gets hot for one game, maybe game 3 or game 4, and they steal one from OKC. I can easily see the Thunder sweeping either one of these teams. I am going to give the Thunder 5 games because I do think that Golden State beats Phoenix. I just think Curry probably has another one of those big games. And, OKC is just too good. They're not losing to either Phoenix or Golden State. Maybe Golden State pushes it to 5 games. I doubt it, though. I am going to give somebody a win in at least one of those games. I think it's probably more likely that it goes to 5 with Golden State than Phoenix. But OKC basically advances pretty easily in the first round. And then this matchup right here. Of course, if you have been paying attention to any LeBron stuff, you know that Luka is, of course, out. Austin Reeves is out. The Lakers are just dealing a lot of injuries right now. And LeBron has kind of got to go back to 2018 LeBron when he was basically the entire team. But, it's almost 10 years later. So we got to see. The biggest key for the Lakers this in this series is at least getting one, maybe 2 wins before Luka comes back and is able to help LeBron out. Of course, the Rockets are a really, really good rebounding team, but and the Lakers center is DeAndre Ayton. Is anyone really scared of DeAndre Ayton? I don't think so. So the key here is for LeBron to take over at least one of these early games. I would really, really, it would be very, very important for the Lakers to win game 1. But if they don't, then they gotta win game two. Game two is basically a game seven for them, because if the Rockets go up 2-0 on the road in LA, then the Lakers have no shot. So, my brain is telling me Houston, because LeBron is so much older than he is. He is the greatest basketball player of all time. No one is gonna get me off of that. And my mind does tell me Houston. I can't pick against LeBron this early. I'm going to go with LA in 7 games. I think that the longer this series goes, the more it favors the Lakers, because that gives Luka and Austin Reeves more time to get into this playoffs and get going. If there wasn't a chance that Luka and Austin Reeves were coming back in this series, I think I'd take the Rockets in 5, maybe 6. But since there is that shot, and LeBron is very capable of winning one by himself, he's not going to take over a whole series like he did go back to 2018 or even 2020 sometimes. He's not going to be that guy anymore, and no one is really blaming him for that. He's been playing basketball my entire life. He was drafted before I was even born, and I'm 20. I'll be 21 in a little bit here, but that's where I'm at. I just can't pick LeBron. I can't pick against LeBron in the first round. I just can't do it. Lakers in 7. And then they got to go play OKC, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then this series is going to be really, really interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this LA Houston series, but if the Lakers go down 2-0, no one's going to really be paying attention to that series anymore. And then we're going to turn to this Nuggets and Timberwolves series. I can easily see the Timberwolves come out with this win. I just think there's probably a lot more scenarios where the Nuggets win, and the Nuggets can get by the Timberwolves, and maybe the Trailblazers pull an upset. Very unlikely, but let's say they do. Then the Nuggets have an easy shot to go get and play OKC, most likely OKC in the conference finals, and the Nuggets match up better than the majority of teams against OKC. It's going to come down to who can ever... It's not... The Timberwolves are going to guard Jokic and Jamal Murray with their lives. It's going to be who can step up instead of them. Jokic is going to get his shots. Murray is going to get his shots. Who is going to be that third guy for the Nuggets to get in and help the Nuggets win this series? So for that reason, I am going to go with the Nuggets. I am going to go 6 games. I think that, this could be a series where the home team wins the first 5 games and then Denver pulls it out in 6 in Minnesota. And, I have picked no upset so far in this first round. Maybe that can come back to bite me. I can easily see the Rockets beating the Lakers. Of course, I said that. I can see Minnesota beating... did I say the Nuggets? I meant the Lakers. I can easily see Minnesota taking out Denver. And if Minnesota takes out Denver again... Oh man, remember was it 2-3 years ago now, Minnesota, when they went on that run, it was 2020, I want to say 2023, might have been 2022, the year after Denver won their championship. Everyone was predicting the Nuggets to go back-to-back, and Minnesota came in and it just shell-shocked everybody and beat Denver. And, and especially at home, in that atmosphere, especially up in the mountains where the air is a lot thinner, Denver, the guys that are playing at Denver, that's a very good home court advantage, and especially with that environment that is really, really awesome to watch. We just got to see. Minnesota can win this series. I'm not saying they don't have a shot, but I just think that there's going to be somebody that catches fire that's not Jokic and Jamal Murray for at least one of these games, and that's all Denver needs to get going. Anthony Edwards, of course, is a really, really good player. And, we just got to see. I don't know, really. I just think the Nuggets have more possibilities of winning in multiple different areas. Jokic, of course, is going to get his shots, like I said before. But I just trust the Nuggets more right now than I do the Timberwolves. And I love Anthony Edwards. That's just the truth for me. Moving on, I think the Spurs win in 4. That's the Timberwolves. They had a really good run in the play-in, and I just think there's no I don't see anything where they're like, "Oh yeah, they're definitively better than the Spurs." Maybe point guard, but I just don't see it. Maybe it's a little bit of a push at guard, but I don't see it. Wemby, I think, takes over and they win fairly easy in 4. And then the Pistons versus either Charlotte or Orlando. This is going to be interesting because I think if it is Charlotte, I don't think the Detroit really has any problems with these. But if it is Orlando, I think Orlando can push them with their physicality. We got to see. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and LaMelo somehow catches fire and pushes the Pistons to 7. I just don't see it. I think the Pistons win regardless. It's just going to be how many games go, because this is going to be important. Because the more this series obviously rolls along, the more that favors the team that they play next. And we'll get to my Cavs here in a second, because that the winner of that series will play the Pistons most likely, and we'll get to what I think about the Cavs. But I do think that this goes 6. We'll see who comes out of this play-in. LaMelo Ball, of course, had a really, really good play-in game. I think if I had to pick somebody right now, I think I would pick Charlotte. But you never know with this stuff. I am going to go with Detroit in 6 games. I think LaMelo kind of pushes them, kind of pushes it maybe a little bit. But regardless, I think Detroit moves on and builds a lot. That's a confidence builder there, because Detroit has not been that team for a while now, and maybe that series can kind of be like the Orlando Cavs series from, was it last year or 2 years ago now? No, 2 years ago. I can't remember. It's been that Indiana Pacers Cavs series took a lot out of me. That can kind of be a confidence builder going into the second round, and then we get to my team and the Toronto Raptors. I feel like there's a bit of a misconception with the Cavs. The Cavs, the stereotypical thing that people like to say about Cleveland is that they're soft. I don't think they're soft at all. I think that people kind of took that Jared Allen quote that he made after the Knicks series when they lost in 5 games. And that was like, without even, was that Donovan's first year? I think it was Donovan's first year in Cleveland. And the Cavs were still trying to figure it out a little bit. And they got caught. They got caught at home in game 1, and that was kind of it. There was, I did not see New York losing in the Garden, especially with the momentum that they built that year. And Jared Allen kind of had a little bit of a weird quote, and that's what happens when somebody gets a quote off of you. People can take that and run with it for however long they want. And unfortunately for Jared Allen, that has followed him everywhere he goes. And it really has rubbed off on the entire team because of the teams that they keep losing to, And that's a weird thing to say, but, the Knicks, the first year, I don't remember how long or how far they made it. The next year it was Boston. Of course, Boston ended up winning the championship that year. And then last year it was the Indiana Pacers, who made a finals run and dang near won the whole thing if Tyrese Haliburton doesn't tear his Achilles in Game 7. Because he was on fire in that game. I really think if Haliburton stays in that game and is 100% for that whole series, I think Indiana wins and is one of the most improbable stories in the playoffs in recent memory. I wouldn't say finals like comebacks or anything, but as a story as a whole, I think Indiana winning that title last year would have been an amazing story, especially since Haliburton was so clutch in so many key moments. The Cavs series, the Knicks series, he won games in OKC, and he willed his team to so many wins last year, and it really sucks that he tore his Achilles that late in the season, literally the last game of the season last year, and was out for the whole season this year. Indiana, of course, struggled this year and didn't even make the playoffs. But, back to the Cavs. Sorry, I got on a little bit of a tangent. Back to the Cavs. I think that a lot of the misconception that the Cavs are soft, I just think they're undersized. against teams that like Boston and OKC and Denver when the Cavs played Denver at some points there. When you have guys, let's go back to Boston because Boston is in our conference. When you have guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, of course Donovan Mitchell is going to be undersized guarding them because the Boston Celtics like to run that pick and roll. Donovan's got to pick up one of those two. If he's not guarding the other one, he's going to pick up the other guy. And then that leaves Donovan Mitchell obviously undersized. And the Boston plays right in, like the Cavs play right into Boston's hands. Boston matches up extremely well with the Cavs, and for the Cavs to make a run in this these playoffs, I think OKC's got to lose at some point, and Boston has to lose at some point before the Eastern Conference Finals. Because if the Cavs play Boston, I have no faith in the Cavs beating Boston. I feel like everybody else, I'm like, okay, we have at least a fighting chance at the very, very least. If not, we would be favored in those matchups. But against Boston, I think that series ends in 5, maybe 6 games if the Cavs can get hot. But I don't really see a world where the Cavs beat Boston this year, unfortunately. I just think that as a matchup, the matchup advantage is just so high for Boston against Cleveland that I don't really see the Cavs beating Boston 4 times in 7 games. So that's just me. I am gonna go with the Cavs. I'm not gonna give them a first round exit. I know a lot of people are picking Toronto in this series. I just think there's a misconception about the Cavs being soft, and I just don't think that the Cavs are going to. I don't think the Cavs are going to go out sad, because if the Cavs don't get at least to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think you blow it all up. And if the Cavs can get by Toronto, I love their chances against Detroit. And I'm going to give the Cavs a win in 5 games, but this is going to be a very close 5 games. I think Toronto probably blows out the Cavs in one of these games, but Toronto keeps up with the Cavs, or maybe the Cavs keep up with Toronto and they flip it right at the end of the fourth quarter, and it's a very, very close 5 games. And maybe this is just me completely not disregarding all the upsets. That's on me. I obviously know that all of these are going to be wrong in some capacity, and maybe I hit some of these bang on. I highly doubt that though. But I am going to give the Cavs a win in 5 games, but a very, very close 5 games where you can honestly see this series could honestly go to 7. The Raptors could sweep the Cavs. The Cavs could sweep the Raptors. It could go to, any combination there. I just think these teams are really, really close matchup-wise. But I am going to give the Cavs an advantage there. I think James Harden gets hot. And one of these games, Donovan Mitchell, of course, he's going to do Donovan Mitchell things in the playoffs. Last year, if you remember, if the Cavs aren't injured against Indiana, they probably win that series. They probably still lose and they'll probably still lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. But you never know, because Tatum, if the Cavs play Boston, does Tatum tear his Achilles? You never know. So that's just me. Let's move on. I'm just gonna give the Cavs a win in 5 games. Then we get to Knicks and Hawks. This is gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be a close series. I can see the series going either way. I still think the Knicks win this series. I just don't know if the Knicks are gonna be able to sweep the Hawks, or if this is gonna go a full 7 games. And I think I'm gonna give them 6 just to kind of go in the middle there. I can easily see the Knicks blowing out the Hawks and getting back into the second round and playing Boston. Boston's going to sweep the 76ers. I don't see any scenario where Boston loses in the first round to Philadelphia. I just don't. I don't see it. Thunder and Lakers, I think Thunder wins in 5 games. I think maybe once Luka and Austin Reeves come back, Lakers have a game maybe at home. But after that, I think the OKC takes care of business against Los Angeles. And maybe that is LeBron's last game as a Laker. Maybe he even retires. I don't know. But I don't see any scenario where the Lakers beat OKC. I think somehow Golden State or Phoenix has got to win that series against OKC for the Lakers to have any shot. And even then, I don't see them beating either the Spurs or the Nuggets or even the Timberwolves, honestly. Like, I think anyone playing the Lakers outside of Portland or OKC or Phoenix, I think the Lakers probably lose. They're just not a very good team. They're a good team. They're not a great team. And in this era of basketball, you have to be a great team because all of these other teams are great around you. This is not, 2018 where the East is just a bunch of cupcakes because everyone was scared of LeBron, so they moved to the West. And, like KD and, the Warriors did all of that stuff too. And the Rockets, of course, with James Harden and Chris Paul. And, I wish there was a little bit more parity in that era, but the Warriors were just that good. Enough about that. The Nuggets and Spurs. This is going to be a dogfight. This series right here. Let's take a look at the little analytics that the NBA's got for us. Spurs, look at how even this is. Like field goal percentage is that close, 2%. Turnovers, like, man, or this is assists. Oh, it's the turnover. Okay, so turnover assist ratio. Okay, so my bad. This is literally just. I'm not literally doing any studying in this. I'm looked up this website, press record. This is what I'm doing. Sorry about that. This is going to be a dogfight. I can see either one of these teams going. I think it's going to come down to can the Nuggets get somebody else other than Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, or Jamal Murray, and they got to have somebody else to get hot. And Wemby is going to be Wemby. He's gonna be here for a long, long time. De'Aaron Fox, also a really good player here on the Spurs. I love Wemby. I just think that the Nuggets win it in 7. I think that I honestly think that San Antonio wins Game 5 and takes a 3-2 lead, and the Nuggets come back and blow them out in Game 6 and survive Game 7. I think that's how that goes. I think the Spurs have 2 shots to beat the Nuggets this season, and they don't take advantage. And I think Wemby goes home early, which I don't see a lot of people predicting, but that's just how I feel right now. I think the experience advantage in these playoffs is gonna go to OKC, to Denver in this situation. But I can easily see the Spurs coming out here and kind of a passing of the torch moment between Wemby and Nikola Jokic. And then we have Cavs and Pistons. I have the Cavs in 6 games. I think that with Detroit moving on in the second round, that environment is going to be insane. I also think the Cavs are really a really good home team, and they match up well against Detroit. So I am going to go with the Cavs in 6 games. And maybe the Cavs can pick up 2 games in Detroit. I think they probably win 1 and get their home and capitalize on that home court advantage that they get with beating Detroit in at least 1 game on the road. So the Cavs go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe this is me just being an optimistic Cavs fan, but I do think if in these first 2 rounds, if this falls like I think it does, then I think that the Cavs have a really good shot of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They have, they did play the Pistons when James Harden was kind of early into his Cavs run. That was like when, and the Cavs basically had the game won, and they missed a couple free throws, and the Pistons made shots, and good on the Pistons to win that game. But you just kind of felt like the Cavs had that game in the bag, and they just kind of let it slip away. I don't think that happens in the playoffs here. I think that the Cavs are still kind of burned by the Indiana Pacers series where they let multiple games get away from them. Where they had like a 20-point lead against the Pacers and lost at home, and then the Halliburton shot to basically win the game. That was also there. But the key for the Cavs is, can they stay healthy? And, Strus is coming back. Mitchell's got to stay healthy. We don't have Darius Garland anymore, who, like him or not, was a liability when we needed to rely on him. He was getting injured every single year in the playoffs. So regardless if you liked the Harden trade or not, he was a liability in the playoffs. He just was. And then the Celtics, I think they get by the Knicks in 5 games. I think they win. The Knicks win 1 in the Garden. But other than that, Boston takes care of business, and the Cavs, worst case scenario, is there. And then we'll go back to OKC and Denver. I just think OKC wins. I think they win in 6 games. I can't pick against OKC right now. And then the Celtics, they get by the Cavs in 5, pretty easy 5 games. And it's just down to, is Jason Tatum going to be the Jason Tatum we've seen all for the majority or the end of this regular season here? I think he does. And I also think that the Celtics win in 6 games and they are once again NBA champions. I just think Tatum coming back is that huge for this team. They were so good even with Tatum gone, and they got the 2 seed basically locked up, and then Jason Tatum came back and made a run at the 1st seed. Detroit was just that good in that little run where Tatum was gone that they built a decent amount, like a, what was it, like 9-game, 6-game lead for first. I just think that was an insurmountable lead for Boston to come back to. Honestly, I think if the season started when Tatum was healthy, Celtics win the East by multiple games. And the Pistons probably don't have as good of a season as they did with Tatum gone. But regardless, that is going to be my NBA playoff predictions. I think Boston finally goes back and wins it again. And, a lot of people are picking OKC, and for very good reason. They are one of the best teams in the league right now, and they are the defending champions for a reason. I just think that this is a storybook season for Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. And as much as we don't like Boston, no one likes Boston. No matter what sport, no one likes Boston. I just think they're inevitable at this point, and I have them winning the NBA championship once again. And maybe Tatum has a little less of a cringy moment after he wins his 2nd NBA championship. And yeah, that's really all I got today. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you did make it this far, please let me know how wrong I am in the comments about where I have your team or being eliminated, or if you're an OKC fan, please let me know what you think of the Boston matchup if that happens in the NBA Finals. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. Be on the lookout for the NHL playoff predictions if you guys are hockey fans. Be on the lookout for that. If you have not watched my mock draft from yesterday at the time of this recording, I uploaded that yesterday. So I really appreciate you if you watched that already. If you haven't, please go watch that. And yeah, that's all I got today. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you.